What's up, guys? So Highguard finally broke its silence after over a month of absolutely nothing. Wildlight Entertainment announced a launch showcase happening the same day the game drops, which is January 26th, in just a couple of days here. And the internet is, well, the internet is split. Some people are calling this marketing genius. Others are saying it's just recycling Apex Legends 2019 playbook. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out if this is really genius or are we all just watching a launch implode in slow motion. Let's be clear and upfront here though. I am currently firmly in the we don't need another uninspired hero shooter camp. And I didn't see anything about Highguard that excited me to want to try it out. Other than the fact that it might be Concord 2. Maybe that's working for them. But crazier things have happened. And I am more than happy to be proven wrong. So let's dig into what the heck is actually going on with Highguard, because this whole situation is just bizarre. So for those of you who missed it, I've talked about a little bit. You've probably seen it everywhere. Highguard was revealed at the Game Awards 2025 as the final announcement of the night. And I mean the final announcement, the spot that usually goes to Star Hunter Wilds level reveals, you know, massive AAA surprises. Instead, we got a free-to-play hero shooter from a new studio called Wildlight Entertainment. Now, to be fair, Wildlight isn't just random nobodies. The studio is made up of former Respawn devs who worked on Titanfall and Apex Legends. That's a legit pedigree. But here's the thing. When Geoff Keighley introduced it with from the creators of Apex and Titanfall, people were expecting, I don't know, Titanfall 3 or some form of a spiritual successor and something that felt worthy of that final slot. And what we got was a trailer that looked like every other hero shooter from the past 5 years. Magic cowboys called wardens fighting over something called the shield breaker, riding horses, raiding bases. The gameplay looked competent but generic, and the marketing called it an all-new breed of shooter, which immediately drew Concord comparisons. You know, that hero shooter that died in 2 weeks. We all know about Concord. The reaction was brutal. The YouTube trailer got absolutely ratioed. Reddit tore it apart. Twitter X roasted it, and people were genuinely angry that this was what closed out the Game Awards instead of something bigger. But after all of that, what happened? Nothing. Just radio silence, complete blackout. With Highguard's release date being January 26th, 6 weeks from that reveal trailer, and in those 6 weeks, not even a single tweet, no gameplay breakdown, no character reveals. It's just wild for a hero shooter where characters are supposed to be the main draw to not even have character reveals. No developer diaries, no behind the scenes, nothing. Their official X account last posted on December 12th, right after the Game Awards, with their YouTube channel and their website. All just quiet, nothing. It's like they revealed the game and then immediately went into witness protection. I don't know. I mean, they were getting dunked on pretty hard. What happened? Some people think this silence is deliberate. They think that it's actually brilliant anti-marketing in a world where we're constantly bombarded with ads and updates and live streams. The argument goes kind of like this, right? The initial reaction was so negative that any additional marketing would have just made it worse. So instead of fighting the backlash, they just stopped talking. Let that hate die down. Let curiosity build and create the mystery. Maybe let the internet Streisand effect for you, if that makes sense. And it is kind of working. I mean, this is the third video where I've talked about it. is every day that passes, more and more people are talking about Highguard, not because of the marketing, but because of the lack of marketing. People are watching the trailer over and over, trying to figure out what the game actually is. Reddit threads just keep popping up, speculating about delays, shadow drops, or whether the game even actually exists. One writer said, "Every day that passes without news about Highguard makes me more intrigued." Another said, "The entire gaming community is now very invested in Highguard now that things are left to the imagination. Social media is increasingly calling it a potential dark horse of early 2026. The lack of information has created this really weird FOMO where people are genuinely curious just because they don't know what it is." But here's where people are calling some bullshit, because this isn't new. We've seen this before in 2019 with Apex Legends. Apex Legends famously shadow dropped. Respawn announced the game and then released it the same day. They partnered with massive streamers like Ninja, Shroud, and Dr. Disrespect, who played it that weekend, and by the time Monday rolled around, everyone was talking about it. And critically, Respawn knew the announce would be controversial. As one EA executive literally said at the time, "There's always a player drop-off, so why have the drop-off before the player plays?" They knew that photoreal PvP hero shooter was an eye-roll inducing prospect even back in 2019, so they decided to just bypass all the pre-released angst and just let people play it immediately. Judge it on its gameplay, not on trailers and marketing speak. That strategy did work beautifully for them. Apex became a phenomenon. But here's the critical difference. Apex didn't give people 6 weeks to form negative opinions first. Highguard announced a release date and then went silent. Instead, they've created this weird hybrid that's neither shadow drop nor traditional marketing campaign. As one Reddit user put it, they should have shadow dropped it. Giving it a 2-month hype cycle doesn't make sense. So, if this isn't genius and it's not really the old playbook, what is it? Here's where things could get interesting. Forbes reporter Paul Tassi dropped this bombshell about how Highguard didn't even pay for that Game Awards slot. According to his reporting, showrunner Geoff Keighley just really liked the game and offered them the final spot for free. Now, that final slot is one of the most coveted marketing opportunities in gaming. Companies reportedly pay 6 or even 7 figures just to get a trailer in the show, let alone the final reveal. Highguard got it for free because Geoff believed in it. And that's actually kind of beautiful and also a little tragic, because what should have been a massive marketing win, I think ultimately just turned into a PR nightmare. The prevailing theory is that Wildlight probably did plan to shadow drop the game at the Game Awards. That would explain the tight timeline, the lack of pre-reveal marketing, the whole approach. But something like technical issues, server prep, whatever, ultimately delayed them. Again, it's a theory. But now they're stuck with this massive visibility and a terrible first impression with no plan B. And silence isn't typically a strategy. It's viewed more as damage control. I don't blame them. They're probably just terrified that any communication will make things worse, and nobody wants to work years on a game and then just have it fail. So, what is the internet's consensus? Because as the internet always is, this is where it gets messy. The overwhelming majority of reactions are negative or skeptical. People calling it Concord 2, video game the game, another doomed live service hero shooter in an oversaturated market. Those types of comments, right? Like this one. Complete silence from the devs after just one trailer in 15 days before the game release could mean that it's at least delayed or just canceled. On top of that, the art style is getting roasted as boring and generic. The gameplay looks competent but uninspired, and the marketing copy calling it an all-new breed of shooter just comes across as corporate speak when the trailer shows a hero shooter that looks slightly different, but like, come on, an all-new breed? Really? There's a lot that's got to go into an all new breed of hero shooter, and we're not seeing any of that. But there is a growing minority that's genuinely intrigued, not because they think it looks amazing, but because they're curious about the mystery. We have comments like, Highguard will for sure get a big player base day one simply because their lack of comms has made people very curious. And look, I mean, it's free to play. That's a massive advantage over Concord's $40 price tag. As one writer even put it, it's free, it looks fun and polished, and marginally different enough to hold my attention for at least a few days. And then there's the small but passionate group of defenders who say the Titanfall Apex pedigree deserves benefit of the doubt. One Game Rant editor said it's among their most anticipated games of 2026, despite all of the YouTube dislikes. Here's what I think is happening now. I'm not a marketing genius. I'm not even great at marketing. I'm just a consumer, and I'm just somebody that, likes to analyze things. I don't think this is genius. I also don't think it's entirely a failure. I think it's very possible the silence is generating a lot of curiosity, but most likely for all of the wrong reasons. People aren't excited, they're confused, they're not hyped. They're morbidly curious to see if this thing crashes and burns. It's like watching a car accident in slow motion. You can't look away, but you're not rooting for a good outcome all the time. Actually, that's a bad analogy now that I think about it. You should be rooting for a good outcome with a car accident. I might remove that analogy, but I don't know if I want to come up with a better one at the moment. But look, I want to be wrong. I genuinely do. The gaming industry needs more competition, not less. And if Highguard comes out and is actually good, if the raid mechanics are innovative, if the gameplay loop is tight, if the characters are interesting, then great. I'll eat crow and admit I was too cynical, but based on everything we've seen, the generic millennial art style, the corporate marketing speak, the complete lack of communication about what actually makes the game special, I'm not optimistic. And the fact that we're days from launch and nobody knows what the game's hook is beyond raid shooter with mounts is a massive red flag. Hero shooters live or die based on their characters, and we don't know a single character's name or personality. But what happens on January 26th? There's a few possible scenarios that I see here. Best case is the game is actually good. The rake mechanics are fun and fresh, and the characters have personality. The gameplay is as smooth as you would expect from ex-Titanfall devs. Day one players are pleasantly surprised, word of mouth spreads, and it finds an audience. And the silence becomes this legendary marketing story that we can all make YouTube videos of, and people can write papers on for their master thesis for years to come. Worst case, it's exactly what it looks like. A generic hero shooter that gets compared to Concord and dies within weeks. The silence just becomes another cautionary tale about failed launches. But we still get to make lots of YouTube videos, and people can still write their thesis papers on the failure. Most likely, it lands somewhere right in the middle. Decent gameplay, okay characters, but nothing special enough to pull people away from competitors like Marvel Rivals or Overwatch or whatever they're already playing, because that's ultimately what you need for this type of game to survive, right? You need to give people a reason to walk away what they have been playing and invested in. It will most likely find a small dedicated audience, but will probably never become the phenomenon that Wildlight hoped for. I do think that it will probably have a decent peak when it launches just because of that curiosity factor. I mean, I am considering playing it because if it is Concord 2.0 and does get shut down quickly, I didn't get to play Concord, right? So I think you'll have a lot of people that are like me or just curious. Because it's free to play, like, why not hop in for an hour or two and just see what it's about? I think that's probably what's going to happen. And then it becomes generic and, you know, a few days later, people drop off. But as they broke their silence, announcing their launch showcase for January 2026, the day the game releases at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the day the game releases, they have announced a full gameplay deep dive, year one plans, and what they claim is much, much more. With the responses being LMAO, finally something, and y'all remember the password? This pretty much sums up the vibe. It's not excitement, it's relief mixed with skepticism. So I guess we'll find out in a few days whether this was all part of some master plan or just a really, really weird, quiet march toward potential disaster. Is Highguard's marketing genius? Probably not. I think it's something weirder and messier. And will it work? I have no idea, but I'll be keeping an eye on it on January 26th, the same as everyone else, because at this point, the mystery is more interesting than the game itself. And if I'm wrong, if this thing somehow becomes the next big hero shooter, I will absolutely make a follow-up admitting that I was too cynical and explaining what they got right. But based on everything we've seen, I'm keeping my expectations extremely low. But what do you guys think? Are you curious about Highguard? Do you think the silence was genius or just desperation? Let me know in the comments below. And if you try it on launch day, let me know how it goes. I might be in there with you. I do have to work that day, so we'll see. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and peace out. Bye.